live is all about personal branding, and I am bringing on the lovely Gosia, who's just joining us now. And essentially, we're going to be talking about how the intersection between websites and personal style, which seem like two completely different topics, can be brought together under the umbrella of personal styling, basically. So I'll start off with just a quick introduction of me, if that's okay. So hello everyone, my name is Freya Padmore. I am a website designer for service providers, and basically I help people to feel confident in their websites, not only because they look good, but they actually function well as well. They rank on Google properly and they actually drive results for people. So that is what I'm all about, and I'd love to introduce the lovely Gosia, so I'm handing over to you.
Hi. Curating your dream style from the moment of creating your vision through planning your wardrobe and shopping, finding colors that flatter you the most, finding clothes that flatter your body shape. These are the things we can do together. I'm Gosia Brzoska, a personal stylist. I live in London and I build my personal brand as a personal stylist when I work full-time in fashion. It's nice to meet you.
Yay! It's so nice to have you here. I forgot actually, because when we met at a networking event, didn't we, in London?
Yes.
I'd love to know if anyone watching is also from London, because recommend all the networking events, please. But yeah, it's so lovely to have you on. Obviously today we're talking about personal branding, and maybe we can just start off with like what personal branding actually means to you. Like what does that look like to you?
Well, to me, it's an intentional process of positioning yourself in a certain field and area of your life. So people recognize you, or when they need something in that area, they will think about you. And to me, it's a very sensible thing to do, no matter whether you are employed or you provide business to business or business to customer services and solutions.
Yeah, totally. And I think as well with personal branding is it's separate from the industry that you're in. So if you changed roles or you changed your business, it doesn't matter what that thing is. I think your personal brand is really about you as a person and almost separate from like the services that you provide or the job that you do, which I think is like an important part of personal branding. I think people forget when we talk about personal branding online and people are like, oh yeah, Freya Padmore equals website designer, which is obviously a great association to have. I want people to think web design when they think of Freya Padmore, but I also want them to think about how we met at a networking event, how I made them feel when we first met, what they associate my personality to be like. And I think that all comes into personal branding as well.
Yes, what I like about personal branding is that it's sustainable, because it's your entire experience, knowledge, the kind of person you are, that can be completely independent, maybe not completely, but it becomes independent from the companies you've worked for and what you've done for them, because you can have your own experience, you can develop skills outside of that, and then your image doesn't depend anymore on the name of that company. You can take it with you anywhere you want, and you can change your roles, you can shift in your professional life, and you just take your brand with you.
Yeah, totally. And I like that word in particular, sustainable. And it's not something that you necessarily have to force, but I think it is something that you can curate. Like you can be intentional with your personal brand and how you want to come across and all things like that, definitely. And I'd love to ask you the question about why, like, what is the significance? Why is it even important to be building a personal brand?
Well, so I remember those times. It sound old. I'm a few years older than you. I'm a late millennial, so I remember those times when everyone preached corporations, and you would find a job in one, and you would have your role, you would grow there, and then you say you want to change the job. Well, you would have to fit in, obviously, to be successful in one way or another, and you would work on specific projects that are important for that company and in the way that company works, and then you want to change your job, and you send your CV out, and you try to impress recruiters with the name of that company you worked for and your tasks. And now your not CV, but yes, your entire CV, your history, you can also build it outside of that. and you can be yourself when you do that. I know that there are some people who fit in easier than others, and maybe for them it's not a problem. I know that, well, at least when I work for a company, I always look for companies that have values similar to mine, but there is always some level of stretch. And that's why I think that personal branding is important, because I just want to be truly myself and work on the projects that interest me with people with whom I relate the most.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think when you are like led by your values and you're starting with who you are first rather than the skills that you have, it almost becomes where you like that's not, people can't replicate that. Like nobody is you, if that makes sense. So if people value you as a person and you are driven by your values, like that is, yeah, like I say, it's not something that people can replicate. And I think, yeah, that's important, whether that is in a corporate job or as a business owner. I think being truly yourself is just powerful. I think actually as well, sorry, did you want to say
No,
something?
no. I just like how you mentioned the human factor, and I'm thinking now about AI, just how this human factor really is important, and also you have to be a human to make people understand that show them how this human factor really impacts the results of your work, of your service.
Yeah, 100%. And with AI, like it goes crazy from things like coming up with content ideas, for example.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe it can help you to create content ideas, but they're not going to help you come up with your own stories, for example. Like you're never going to be able to replace that. Or you can even create AI photos of yourself now. So I think having that human side of things, where maybe it is creating a video and how you show up and what your voice sounds like and your own anecdotes and how you just come across, you just can't replicate that with AI. And I think as people are going more towards these automations and AI generated content and things like that, I think we're going to go the opposite way, where people are just going to really crave that human side of business, of like content, of what they consume. They're going to want that, the personal side, which AI is basically sucking out at the moment.
Yeah, I can see that happening already, and I'm really happy about it. I must say, I'm not scared of the AI at all. Are you, Freya?
No, I mean, I actually came across, right? I came across an AI thing where basically, like, it can build a website for you. Like, you like draw basically what you want, and then this AI tool can like build this website for you, which is a bit mental. But I'm not worried that it's going to replace like my strategic thinking, my problem solving, and things like that. That's what I bring to the table versus what AI can do, which is basically do what it's told, kind of thing. And that's the level of AI that we're at. So I'm not too stressed.
Oh yeah, I can imagine the website will be appropriate. The one created by AI, and that's it. That's the best you can get out of it right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're very basic. That's probably how I'd describe the results that I was seeing. So I was like, I'm not gonna be using this anytime soon. That's a pass.
I've seen people trying to do color analysis with the AI. For example, asking ChatGPT on what are their best colors based on, like, when you in graphic programs, you can pick a color of your eyes, for example, and it gives you a code. So people would copy the codes of their skin tone and then they would paste it in ChatGPT and ask what colors will suit me based on that. And I've already tried it because I want to make a video about it when I test on YouTube, when I test those different AI methods of doing a color analysis, and I can already see I have a lot of problems with that. Like, it's not necessarily, like, it doesn't do what I would do when I look at people and I try colors on them and I interpret that, and the AI doesn't do it. It just has some sort of algorithm.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've never heard of that before. I mean, it's a creative use of ChatGPT. I feel like every single day I find a new way that people are using it. I've never heard of that before. I mean, do you want to speak a little bit about the like services that you do, like what you offer to people? Obviously, color analysis is something that we've worked on together. Do you want to like speak about the other services that you offer?
Yes. So I offer color analysis and body shape analysis. One is to match your best colors for clothing and makeup, and another is to match the best shapes of clothing for your body shape. Another service is something I call a style discovery session. And that is really exciting because I work with my clients with their mood boards. We prepare a mood board for them of their aesthetic. And based on that mood board, we create ideas of real outfits, and then we check if they have them in their wardrobe or how you can create those outfits in a different way, and plan your shopping list based on that. I also offer a wardrobe audit. That's a service that takes place in your house, in your wardrobe, and we go through your clothing. I give you feedback on colors and shapes, and we make outfits as many as possible. We try to create outfits out of the clothes you are not necessarily wearing, but you would like to start, and then we check what's missing and we make a shopping list. And the last service is personal shopping that we can do either in shop, go together shopping in London, or we can do it online as well. Yeah. So yes, my services are really about a complex solution for the people who want to curate their wardrobe that is in their style, but also that is practical and streamlines your morning routine, so you don't have to waste time and think of what to wear, and then you don't end up with clothes that you don't wear and you regret buying.
Yep, that's a rush. My partner and I literally went through our wardrobes maybe a couple of weeks ago to basically strip out the clothes that we never wear, and we've just like put them in a separate like cupboard in our house basically, and it's made such a difference because you just think less in the mornings when you only have clothes that you like to put on. Like, it just makes such a big difference.
I do that too. Yeah, I do that too. Always. Winter clothes are now packed in boxes. Some clothes for occasion are somewhere far in the wardrobe, so I don't see them every day because I don't wear them every day anyway. And I built my wardrobe as well because I gained weight, I think 2 years ago, and I had absolutely nothing to wear. So I thought like, yay, I can test my own services, and see how it works. So I made this entire project where I built my entire wardrobe from scratch. I literally just had some shoes and bags and a pair of sweatpants and a raincoat, and everything else was too small.
That's amazing though. I remember watching, because obviously you've created content about that, you've seen videos. It has blown my mind about how you curated it, especially because it's, I think particularly when I go shopping, it's just sort of like, I don't want to use the word mindless. I'm not a mindless shopper, absolutely not. But I'm not necessarily thinking about what's currently in my wardrobe and stuff like that. I remember we worked together on a colour analysis, which was so helpful. And that first shopping trip that I did after that, where I understood the colours that were in my palette and what suited me, like, it just opened my mind so much when I was shopping, and I was picking up things that I never even considered, and that was just so powerful.
I'm so happy to hear, honestly. But your color analysis really puzzled me,
Why?
Because if you read about color analysis online, there is this entire information about how a person looks like. You're a winter if your hair is black and your eyes are blue and blah blah blah. And like, it's not really something to follow. It can be an indicator, but it's not something to follow. But still, a color consultant has an idea. When I look at you, I can see more or less how much contrast you have, whether you're warmer or cooler, all these things. And I assumed that I assumed that you could bear less contrast than you actually do. So when I was doing the testing colors on you, I actually did it 3 times just to prove myself right or wrong. So I ended up testing on you the colors that I initially had thought would be good for you, and creating new colors, like from those colors as starting point, to see what kind of color palette I will get. And 3 times I had the same result, and I thought you were a very interesting case when I look at you, you clearly have some contrast, but I just didn't think that you could wear so much contrast on yourself. So yeah, that was great. I really enjoyed it.
Interesting. Oh my god! And this is the thing where it's like, AI can't do that. Like, AI is not going to go over it 3 times and like really like ask the questions and dive deep. Like, it's just not going to do that. That is so interesting. So fun. And one thing that I found so interesting when we did the color palette was when, at the end of it, obviously I'm a designer, and you actually speak about in the document that you gave me how the colors link to how you can use it in your branding. I'd love to ask you just like a little bit more about that, and how you can use your color palette in your branding, and what that looks like, and what suggestions you have.
So first of all, I think it makes sense in case of personal brands, not the brands that are separate from you and you don't represent them with your face. So to me, it's about practicality, because I've heard situations when someone said, I actually heard a very known person saying that he would record some videos and take photos for his content, and then he would paste it into his graphics with brand colors, and his t-shirt was clashing, and he had to take all the colors, all the photos again. So he finally just designed this one t-shirt for himself that he was wearing when he was recording his content. And it is a good idea, but then it also depends on how you create your content, because when you sometimes record something just because you have 5 minutes and you have a good idea, or someone records you during some sort of conference or service, like, you don't necessarily have to plan your outfits in detail. And I think that outfit is a very important part of visual branding, visual identification, that people recognize you with colors, people recognize you with all the senses. You want to be remembered. That's why in shops you have specific perfume or specific music, but mostly we use visual elements. So if you had your color analysis done, you know what colors suit you, you will build your wardrobe around them. It is very practical to choose your personal brand colors from your color palette, from your personal color palette, because then no matter what colors you wear, they will always match your brand colors, and they will create this harmonious look that also subconsciously can be taken as consistency, reliability, and you can, then it's very easy to choose this color of accessories, little accents in your background, anywhere that people will see, and they will say, oh, you always wear something purple. I remember you because you always have something purple. So that's why I think color analysis can be very useful for branding.
Yeah, totally. And it's like you say, it's one of those things where maybe people don't necessarily notice that you're always in that same color, but it can be very like subconscious. I know that like for me, for example, when I'm building a brand for someone, if it is, I was speaking to you about this earlier actually, about that consistency, and it can be a really subtle thing where somebody's used to seeing your content on Instagram, for example, and you use this particular colours, and then you go to your website and then maybe there's slightly different colours, or you never include the orange that you always use on Instagram, for example. That can just be like this slight disconnect that makes all the difference in terms of like how somebody associates with your brand and they connect with your brand. If they're maybe used to seeing a particular colour, then they don't see it on your website, it can throw them off slightly. But then they may not even realise that, if that makes sense. But it's like you say, it's like it can be really subtle things, like things in your background or one bit of font that you use and things like that can make such a big difference.
Yes, and also because not everyone has brand colors, and you don't have to start with brand colors and the logo. To be honest, I don't have my brand colors. I have a few color palettes that I thought would work together well and separately, and that reminds me, I need to update my website, because I thought that I would be using blue more, but actually purple works better for me, I think. So I really have to work on that. That's a point for me from this live. But if you don't have those colors yet, then surround yourself with the colors that you look good in, that you enjoy, and then you can, when you finally have your brand colors, or if you even change them from time to time, test different solutions, it will be still more consistent.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, when you're like creating the colours, they'll naturally go together better as well,
Yeah.
where you can like make different combinations and things like that versus like colour combinations that are really jarring basically, which
Yeah.
no one likes to see. But if you're working within your palette and you know it works with you as well, it will come together a lot more naturally.
But I must say, because my field is clothing and accessories, I can work with colors of clothing and color palette, in reality, in real life. But then when it comes to, well, I think also I can do it for videos, but when it comes to the website or any sort of graphic design, I it's not my field, you know. I can see that, oh, actually on the screen those colors don't work this well together, and I still need someone like you. I really need you to take my color palette and help me choose those colors that will work well on the screen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you say, like when you're looking at a screen, I think like some people don't realize, for example, that what it looks like on my screen could be different from what it's going to look like on your screen, and that subtle difference between the two different like saturations of people's desktops can make a big difference. And it's like things like that that I'm considering when I'm like creating a palette and things like that that maybe other people don't think about. Or one that's really important when you're designing particularly websites is accessibility. How maybe two colours look well nice together to me and you, but if somebody has a visual impairment and maybe they can't see certain colour combinations, then actually like how can we make our colour palettes more accessible, particularly with our websites? And then if somebody like needs some kind of adjustment, can we facilitate that adjustment in the colours, which is like all very important. We want our brands to be accessible to everyone, no matter like what screen they're looking at it. If they've got a visual impairment or whatever it is, we want our brand to be accessible to everyone. And these are all things that come into consideration, which maybe is less a consideration when you're thinking about what clothes that you're putting together in your wardrobe and things like that.
Yes, that's why I think if you decide to do your color analysis to know what colors flatter you and to use them in your branding, still go and see Freya. Take your color palette and she will help you choose the colors that work best on the screen and in your branding. Because also after the color analysis, depending on whom you have it with, you can get a color palette of 30 colors, 60, 100, because this list of colors isn't finished. It's more about their attributes, about the mood they create. So someone who does graphic design will understand that. And even if some colors aren't in your color palette, they will be able to find related colors that will work better for your branding.
Yeah, totally. And I think colours communicate a message whether you realize it or not. Like I recently worked with a client who really wanted like a really grounded and earthy feeling, and like yeah, maybe your instant reaction is let's go browns and greens, which eventually we did end up going with, but that's not the only color combinations that you can use to create a grounded and earthy feeling. And I think once you're clear on the message that you're trying to communicate and the feeling that you're trying to create, then we can pull together the colours and hopefully pick ones within your palettes that are going to suit you, and you can create it, use it for your videos and your content and all things like that.
Yes, I think because I saw a comment earlier, I can't see comments now, but there was a comment, someone said that when they see sunflowers, they think about Freya. And I feel the same. I mean, you did it very well. When I am more distant, and I think even my personal color palette is, because my colors are primarily cool, so it creates this distance. It can be even a bit intimidating, but to be honest, I'm fine with that. It's not that I create this kind of image because this is my color palette, so I have to look this way. It's because I actually am this a bit.
I don't know how I feel about you saying that you're really intimidating.
No, I mean, I think because we met in person and you're this friendly, outgoing person, and I know that sometimes people tell me they are a bit scared of me, but then I add these elements that break it a bit and show that, hey, I'm just a person who, like having fun.
Normal included. I'm just a person. I love it. That was one of the things for me, like the sunflowers were very intentional, where it was like, okay, if I stand in the middle of the room and I have a really obnoxious sunflower dungarees on, and then hopefully it gives the vibe that I'm pretty easy to talk to, like that is intentional in terms of how I want people to see me. When even like seeing me from across the room, we've never met before, what do I want them to think about me? I want them to think that's a cool outfit and she must be easy to talk to because she looks really sick and that looks really friendly and inviting.
I thought this is my person. I need to talk to her.
It works.
Yes, I think that we create similar impression in different ways. You use your dungarees and sunflowers, and I always look very appropriate. But my suit would have birds on it, or I would have tassel earrings added to a very professional outfit. So I think this is a very similar message, but sent in two different ways.
Totally. It's so cool to just be talking about like how these subtle things make, well, mine's maybe not so subtle, but these things like can make a difference, and you really can intentionally curate your brand and what you're trying to put across into the world, and the message that you're putting out there. And I love that we do have so much control. I think that lots of people think that, oh, I'm so scared what people think of me. But actually, you can influence that if you're just that little bit more intentional.
Yes, I wanted to say I'm happy that we have so much freedom about it. Because when you build your personal brand, you give yourself this freedom. And even if you offer services to business, like B2B services, or you're an employee, if you build your strong personal brand, you give to those companies a chance to know, okay, this is me, this is how I work, this is how I talk, this is the kind of problems I focus on, and this is how I solve them. And if this is what you're looking for, or if you're fine with that, we can work together. And that saves you and them maybe disappointment, frustration, definitely gives you more freedom. I mean, obviously there's always some sort of compromise. As long as it's within your values, then it's fine.
Yeah, totally. I feel like there's less pressure to like follow the norms, or like follow certain, what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. Like to follow like people's rules and expectations. Like you don't have to follow those so much anymore, and you can very much like be yourself, and you can be yourself in different environments now. I think like you can be yourself, whether that's in a professional environment, a more casual environment, whatever that looks like. You don't have to, you don't have to follow a particular rule.
But I think it's good to have rules still. Or maybe I'm just this kind of person who really likes having some sort of guides and manuals and everything well organized, including my wardrobe. But as long as those rules are yours, then it's fine. Because in terms of clothing, I'm thinking about your brand archetype, which maybe you could explain better in case if someone doesn't know this term. But the way you position yourself, your brand, who you are for your clients, and who you are among your, other people working in the same field, your clothes can communicate that message too. And let's say you go to an event or you go to meet a client and the dress code is smart. Usually no one knows what it exactly means, but then having your own dress code and your rules will help you. Because if your brand is very appropriate, the best of the best, you would, let's say, wear a suit that is very appropriate, but it simply looks the best. In some way, it looks the best in the room. Or if you are more casual, very casual, you could still wear a t-shirt and be like, I'm wearing a t-shirt, it doesn't make me less an expert in my field. Like, you can do it. That's like a rebel. Or I would be that person who would wear something appropriate and break it with some unexpected elements, to say there are some rules, but you choose what rules you follow, and you create your other rules. So I think that knowing what your brand is really helps you with what to wear, and then whatever you wear, you don't have to feel self-conscious if your brand supports it.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like as well, when you're more considered in your approach in that way, and you've thought about the like rules as such, and which rules you're willing to break in terms of how you look, it can also just help you to just embody that bit of confidence as well, when you're just like, yes, this outfit is me, or yes, this outfit is my brand, or whatever that is that you're trying to achieve. When you've got that extra bit of confidence, it can just help you show up so much better in that room, in that conversation, on that video. It can make such a big difference to your confidence.
But I think my mentor says that hate comes from bad match and lack of understanding. And she says that in terms of content marketing and negative comments on social media, because there will be always someone who doesn't like your approach. and someone who criticizes you or who will say that your solution doesn't make sense or is stupid, which means it's not for them simply. And it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It saves them disappointment. They can find someone who is a better match for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to specific people, then those other people will be less interested. That saves you some stress when you get these negative comments, but also saves you from having clients who are not happy with your service. And we want to help people. We really want to. But then when we can't, they are disappointed and frustrated, and they will leave you a negative review that will affect your image. So yes.
I like the phrase where like your personal brand is just as much about attracting people as it is about repelling people. You want to be putting off the wrong people, the people that aren't there to work with you. If someone like didn't understand my personal brand and then we got on a call and I'm like I'm not very corporate and stuffy, I'm not going to be really professional on our calls and things like that. And if that's like unexpected to them and they might consider that as a bad client service or something like that, then they've clearly not understood my personal brand. That's not who I am. I'm going to be casual on our calls. So I'd rather put off people that want someone that's really corporate and stuffy, for example, or whatever that is. It's not like personal brand or corporate and stuffy. That's not the only options. But yeah, like that is just it's just about as much as repelling people as attracting the right people as well.
Yes, and for me, because I, for example, couldn't help new moms, because I don't have babies and I don't have children. I don't know this experience. There are so many stylists who either position themselves as stylists for new moms, or at least have children and have the experience. Like I couldn't even help you with a bra when you're feeding. So honestly, I can even recommend you someone better than me in that field. And I will do what I know, and what I know is busy lifestyle, living in a city, wanting to have things in place to get dressed quickly, but I also want to look good, but I don't want to think about it, and creating my own rules and navigating in those professional and casual, rules and standards. So this is my field.
Yeah. I feel like we need to take that clip and use it as your introduction because that is so perfect. And I feel like so many people will relate to that as well. Like that is the experience of so many people. And when that's what you're prioritizing, you're going to attract the kind of people that you can help. Like, yeah, we need this clip and take it and use it everywhere.
We do. We do.
Oh, amazing. I mean, yeah, obviously with you and how your like appearance, your style, the accessories that you wear, like it's so clear to me how that links to personal brand basically, and just how much I guess like how helpful it is and making it easier in just showing up. Yeah, like showing up authentic. I don't like the word authentically because what does authentic mean?
It's a buzzword, but personal branding is the buzzword.
yeah, it is definitely. I'm just feeling like you're actually showing up as yourself, and like for me, obviously, I work in more the like graphic side of things, the tech side of things, and how you can show up in how you appear online and things like that. And they seem like two seemingly totally unrelated topics, but just this conversation alone, like you can see how much it overlaps, and it's juicy to me. I really enjoy finding that correlation and that connection.
Yes, and it all links to visual branding.
Yeah, and it's just like, and yeah, the visual branding and how that communicates, like yourself and what you stand for, and yeah, it all comes together very very nicely in a little bow.
I can see a comment from Divine Assistant. This is so important. It's about who truly aligns with us. And well, we said that I really agree with that, and I'm happy that there are more people for whom this is important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, right? Oh my, can you believe it's 11:10? Oh my god!
Wow, so
I just looked at the time and I was like, oh my. It's flashing at me that it's going to die. But yeah, I think should we wrap up the conversation here? I mean, I'd love it if you've got any final things that you'd like to add or say. Please feel free.
Well, I would like to give some practical advice.
Yeah.
So about first, because I get this question a lot, it's about wearing your brand colors. And maybe it's a matter of opinion. I don't like wearing my brand colors, so I just think it can be a bit cheesy. But also there is this problem when you go to an event where everyone wears their brand colors, and let's say they are white, blue, and red, and that's so much about standing out because these are very popular brand colors. So I would say wear colors that harmonize with your brand colors, especially if you give a presentation and there is a presentation on your screen, in your brand colors, and then you wear something that isn't in those colors but harmonizes with that. It will create that really nice, consistent impression. And not everyone is interested in clothing, not everyone notices what you wear, but that will give them this subconscious feeling. And another is about content creation. So depending on how you create your content, whether you plan it and record everything on one day and take all the photos, or you're more like, oh, I'm in a nice place and I feel like sharing something and we'll just record. If you plan your content, if you record it on one day, I just know what I will be wearing and record everything in one outfit. But if I record it in some random moments, then I know that if on that day I might have more time, I just try being a bit more dressed up, or more comb my hair at least. Or if I record outside, I try to have something in my colors with me, either a lipstick, even if it's just a lipstick in my purse, or earrings, then I would use that, because it gives that nice, consistent splash of color in your entire content, and people will recognize you through that. There are some colors that aren't good for the camera. For example, red, especially bright red, looks different in the camera than in reality. The same about bright green. Any sort of sparkly colors, fluorescent, anything shiny is risky because it will reflect light. Apparently black and white aren't good. I guess it depends on the quality of your camera, because they work like photography. Those screens photographers use to control the light. But when I record with my phone, I don't see that black absorbs the light or that white reflects it. My only problem with white is that it blends with my wall, because I have white walls everywhere. For safe colors, anything except for what I just listed is fine. Oh, one thing that isn't safe is prints, small prints, like small stripes or floral prints or polka dots, because they will be dancing on the screen, so you don't necessarily want that. So that's the thing from me.
Yeah, and I think that's such a beautiful point to end on, if that's okay. And I mean, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting to you. Where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Well, YouTube. If you go to my profile, there is a link to my YouTube. That's where I post my long content, where I put a lot of work and effort into planning what I want to say, what will be the most helpful for this strategic and step-by-step building a wardrobe. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to contact me, you can find a link to my website where you can find my contact details.
Amazing. I can totally confirm I love your YouTube channel. Whenever it comes up, I'm like, yes, I've got something new to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. I will, I'm thinking how I can do it to post more, because I still work full-time in fashion. But yes, I'm working on it.
Yeah, oh, amazing. Well, it was so lovely chatting to you. Thank you for making the time. And if anyone obviously has any questions about design, about websites, about how we can showcase your personal brand in your website, then obviously feel free to reach out to me either on Instagram here, or same, the link in my bio has got links to my website and things like that, so you can take a look there. Well, so lovely chatting to you, and we will catch up after this. Oh, it was interesting and helpful. That makes me so happy.
Thank you so much. Before we go, let's take a screenshot.
Oh, yeah.
So nice smile. Yay.
Amazing. Well, I'll chat to you soon.
For having me.
Of course, it's been lovely, and I'll speak to you soon.